There you go.
All right, aloha, friends. Welcome to another episode of Game Time with the Goss, presented by GM Sports Media. I'm your host, Brian Gossett. Today, we're talking UIL realignment in volleyball, and my
Love
guest,
it.
no better guest than Mr. Volleyball himself, the state volleyball insider, Chuck Licata, my good friend with Big Daddy Media. Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, man, it's been a while since we've talked a little volleyball. Of course, you've been running around the entire DFW area covering every other sport for GM Sports Media. So kudos to you for sure.
Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, UIL realignment on Thursday was announced for 2024 through 2026, and it's kind of all been football, football, football. So let's get a chance to talk about the girls and volleyball. Um, you've had a chance to kind of run down the new districts. We'll stick with DFW first, but
Of course.
is there any district that you look at, one or two districts that you just kind of never expected?
Well, and by the way, Eric Miracle called you the Lone Ranger for DFW volleyball. So
All that,
again,
yeah.
hats off to you on that. Man, oh man, I'm not sure if this is a surprise or you just look at this district and say, oh my God, District 6, 6A, Allen, McKinney Boyd, Plano East, Plano West, Princeton, Prosper, Rock Hill out of Prosper. Wow. I mean, is there any more robust a district in the entire state? And I can tell you this, I've gone through each and every, like you have, I'm sure, every district, every region in every classification in the state. I cannot find one that is more chalk heavy than that one right there. I wouldn't say it's a surprise because I mean, obviously the Plano teams are going to be in the same district. You expect Allen in there. They did lose Flower Mound and Hebron. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So as far as surprise or just like the wow factor, to me, that's it right there.
I mean, yeah, normally in every sport, District 5, 6A, and 6A are, right there at the top as the top districts in the area. And this might be the best one that I've seen in my 10 years. So
Yeah, well, and kind of in that same vein in DFW, of course, as you were just talking about, you look at 4-6A. You've got Byron Nelson, you've got Eaton, South Lake Carroll, Keller. I mean, that already is power packed. Oh, by the way, we're going to go ahead and add Northwest because Northwest moves up from 5A to 6A. So we'll put them in that district too. Makes sense, right? They're in the same Northwest ISD as Byron Nelson and Eaton. Now you've got a top heavy District 4 6A as well. That's amazing.
yeah, let's kind of run down 6A here in the area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's really no surprises other than the fact that there are really good districts around. But the one that I never expected, District 3, 6A, Mansfield, three Mansfield schools jumping from Region 1, or excuse me, from
Mm-hmm.
Region 2 to Region 1 now. District
Right.
3, you know, the thought process was that, okay, maybe they'll stay in the same district with the Duncanvilles and DeSoto's, or
Right.
pair it up with Arlington ISD, which they have done in the past. But I don't think they've been in District 4 before, but I don't think with District 3. I don't think they've been in the same district with Weatherford or Boswell or Crowley. So that one that's the only district really that I didn't expect.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, you got the two Crowley schools in there, and you think about Mansfield all the way over here, and then Boswell and Fort Worth, and Weatherford right up there. In fact, north of me in Granbury on I-20, it's kind of a wider district than you would expect. I think you're right on that one.
And like I said, Mansfield has been in that Region 1 before. Lake Ridge and Legacy, first time because they've always been a smaller enrollment. But
Right.
um, I mean, I look at that district right now as of February 3rd. I would probably say Mansfield. I would put Mansfield as a lock as my preseason district favorite.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that for anything. I think you're right. Absolutely. Boswell. I've been able to cover club volleyball for the first time. Been able to go out and check out the tournaments and of course, I'm in the perfect place to do it, DFW, right? And a couple of Boswell girls, I've seen them, and it's kind of like, wow, they're pretty good. So, and
Yeah,
Boswell the last couple of years, as you're well aware, has really, in the volleyball field, they've really picked things up. So they're going to be tough to deal with too in that district.
yeah, for sure. I would put Mansfield and Boswell right there at the top. Weatherford is a playoff team. Lake Ridge and Legacy always has good athletes, but we'll see. I mean, Region One obviously is a gauntlet, and but maybe an easier path to in the playoff for those schools because normally
Yep.
I'm not trying to knock on West Texas, but DFW
Yeah.
has superior volleyball.
Well,
And
and you think about West Texas, when's the last time they had somebody at state, out of Region One? It's been a while.
so if you can get past that first round, normally those schools reach the third round. So
Hmm.
we'll see what Julie Price and Mansfield will show us next year. Yeah, again, not much real surprises. I mean, District 5, District 6 sort of flip flop. Coppell, Denton, and the Louisville schools now, and then
Hmm.
Abilene, Plano, Prosper, Princeton. So
Yeah, and you look at District 5 and you look at Flower Mound, Hebron. Marcus is always good. They're always contending for playoff spot. Capel, you mentioned Julie Green. Of course, that's her old school. Geyer is always Geyer. So, but the good thing for District 5 is they're traveling a lot less. They were in with the Plano schools last year, so they've kind of split them up a little bit. A lot less travel for sure. I talked to couple of people that know District 5 real well, and they said that they're happy about the fact that there's less travel, and the Plano schools are in another district. And let's face it, I mean, travel, okay, define travel. When you talk out west, you're talking probably 100 miles or so, but travel in the DFW area is just tough enough. I mean, as well as I do, it's tough just to get around. I mean, you're an hour and a half, an hour 45 minutes away, you're 40 miles away. So travel also means inside the city in the DFW area. That means a lot of travel and probably some toll roads too.
yeah, look at District 5. I would right now. I'd probably say Flower Mound, Hebron, Marcus, and maybe Coppell and Guy are fighting for a playoff spot there.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
District 4, like you mentioned, the Kellers, Northwest Salt Lake, US Trinity, and LD Bell joined them, so that's a 9-team district. District 7 is pretty much the same. You lose Highland Park, who went down to 5A. District 8 is the same as last season. District 9, the Garland schools.
Hmm.
District 10, pretty much the same. You add Forney and Longview, who jumped up to 6A, and then
Right.
District 11, you get Lancaster, who jumped up, and then Mesquite and Mesquite Horn, moving from District 10, and
Right.
not really too much surprises there in 6A.
No, no, I don't think so.
Talking with my good buddy Chuck Licata, let's jump to 5A.
Okay.
Oh, and we'll go back just on 6A. Just what are around the state is what are your thoughts?
I there's not a whole lot of difference because I mean, obviously, when you're talking 6A, you're talking the biggest. So there's not a whole lot of movement or a whole lot of difference. You're kind of looking for that. Did one team move from maybe a region or a district to another district, as opposed to did they move from one region to another? Probably the second toughest district outside of the DFW area, if not the toughest. In 6A, it's 26. Dripping Springs, Lake Travis, Westlake, Austin High. That district was tough last year. In fact, Dripping Springs and Lake Travis played in the regional tournament. Harlan beat them to get to state. They did lose Austin Anderson, though, and that's a big one because Anderson had two freshmen standouts that are going to be better. Anderson dropped the 5A. So that district is tough. Bowie High School. So, it's kind of a little bit top heavy. Brennan, O'Connor, and Harlan in Region 4, 6A. They're in the same district, 28, 6A. Clark, Churchill, Reagan, and Brandeis I mean, that's a tough district there. They're not, maybe not quite the elite level, but they're really good, consistent San Antonio schools. They're in District 27. In Region 3, Katy, Seven Lakes and Katy in the same district in 19. Pearland, Dawson, Pearland. Pearland is doing really well. Jamie Gill took over the program a couple years ago, doing a really good job there. Lauren Lett at Pearland Dawson had them in state contention last year for a little bit. So, that's a tough district, District 22. And Region 2, Grand Oaks and Grand Oaks, defending 6A champ. Woodlands in the same district as usual. And in District 16, you have Bridgeland, Cy Lakes, and Langham Creek that are all in the same district. You mentioned District 10 real quick, Rockwell Forney in that district, and Saxe and Wiley in District 9. So Region 2, they're pretty darn good. Pretty good competition in that region overall in Region 2.
But yeah, I mentioned Region 1 is such a gauntlet, but it's been a minute since Region 1 has won a 6A title. It kind of looks like the rest of the state has really caught up, and Region 2 is looking like they're right up there with Region 1, if not better.
Yep. Yeah. And again, Region 1, they're just going to beat up on themselves. Unfortunately, only one school comes out of that at the state level, and you just got so much good competition there.
For sure. Yeah, we'll jump to 5A now. I'll start off with this.
Okay.
So the current realignment, DFW has 10 districts. They run from District 55A through 145A.
Mm-hmm.
This new realignment is the same. There's 10 districts, but I do not know why the UIL did this. But if you look at District 10, is Tyler, Nacogdoches, Marshall, sort of East Texas.
Right. White House.
I believe they're District 15 now. So they're in the middle. It's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is DFW. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 is DFW, and right in the middle, 10 is East Texas. That one was distracted to me.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Frisco is District 11, no surprise there. Yeah, I was kind of surprised because as you mentioned, in 10, you've got, Nacogdoches, Texarkana, Texas, Tyler, Marshall, of course, Lufkin, and then you go to 15 and you've got Ennis, you've got Kaufman, you've got Midlothian Heritage, Red Oak. Just kind of weird how they came up with that.
You're going to have to travel later in the playoffs, but now you're looking at first round matchups potentially with District 9 and District 10. I mean, Lufkin, I was doing this for football, but I mean, that's probably a 2-hour plus drive to the DFW area.
Right.
And then in District 15, again, the middle schools, and then having to play District 16, Killeen, Waco.
Yeah.
I mean, they're down there in South DFW.
Yeah.
That's a good haul for a first.
Yeah, and what people may not know is, just to go straight down south, you got Belton on the upper tier, if you will, of the South. But then you go into Killeen. I mean, Killeen's only 45 minutes north of Austin. You're doing some traveling there.
Yeah, so to see that in the first round is obviously a lot different. But yeah, let's run it down here. District 55A, pretty much the same schools. You added Chisholm Trail and Fossil Ridge, who moved down from 6A.
Right.
District 6 and 7, kind of the same, just flip flop really.
Yeah.
No real changes there. District 6 added Denton, who moved up. Excuse me, they're still in that district.
Right.
They did lose Lake Dallas. They moved down to 4A. District 7 is the Fort Worth schools. District 8, pretty much the same. The middle schools again jumped ship to District 15.
Right.
A little different. District 9.
Yeah.
The current district is Frisco schools and the Colony Carrollton schools. Now it's Anna, who moved up. Denison, Greenville, Lovejoy, McKinney North, Melissa, Walnut Grove, and Sherman. So pretty much District 13 now moved to District 9.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how that did. And the new District 13 is all the Dallas schools, Oak, South Oak, Cliff, Molina, Jefferson, Oak Cliff, Faith Family. District 9 is interesting. Lovejoy, McKinney North, Walnut Grove, we know are going to be really good. Melissa, they weren't too bad last year. They have a chance to compete. Anna, that's an interesting district, but again, kind of like you just talked about, when we go by district, they're in that District 10 with Hallsville, Jacksonville, Lufkin, Marshall, Nacogdoches, Tyler. So the travel aspect is going to be interesting. I did talk to the Walnut Grove coach, and she said, "Boy," she said, it's a tough district, but at the same time, she agrees. Coach Lloyd agrees that you want to be in a district where you've got great competition, because when you get to the playoffs, and if you make the playoffs of a tough district, your girls are ready. They're challenged, they're ready, as opposed to sometimes in districts where you're not so challenged in the district itself. They're going to be battle ready. They're going to be battle tough once, the 4 teams that come out of 9 are going to be very battle ready for playoffs.
Yeah, that's Autumn Lloyd at Walnut Grove, who they just finished their first season. Lovejoy again, state champ.
Yeah.
Anna moved up from 4A. District 11 is all the Frisco schools, or most of the Frisco schools.
Yeah. Not all of them.
Yeah, too much.
Can't put them all in one.
And I was thinking about this.
Yeah.
Kind of winners and losers, right? For who got the short end and who came out a winner.
Right.
Like I mentioned, Highland Park moves down from 6A, and back in the day, maybe 6-7 years ago, they were a 5A school. I thought they would have been, and I can't remember, maybe you remember, but I thought they would have been with the Dallas ISD schools. I can't remember. I don't know if when they were 5A, were they playing? Were they in Wakeland's district? Where I don't think they were, but
I don't think they were either. I couldn't tell you 100%, but I'm pretty sure they weren't with the Frisco schools back in the day. They were in the Dallas ISD district back then. Of course, 5A was a little bit different back then too.
yeah.
So
Highland Park is in District 12 with Creekview, Newman Smith, Turner, Lone Star, Reedy, Wakeland, and the Colony. So
yeah,
I think I would say it's a win for both sides. I think obviously the Dallas schools don't want any part of Highland Park. But at the same time, okay, maybe now you got to fight for a district title. Highland Park is, but you rather have better competition, right? Like you just mentioned. The playoffs, but
yeah, and you think Reedy's only a year plus removed from being at the state championship match against Colleyville Heritage. Lone Star made it to the regional tournament last year. Wakeland, of course, got the tough draw. They drew Lovejoy in the region semifinal. They were as good as anybody coming out of that region. That's tough right there. That's a really good, and kind of what we're talking about with District 9. You come out of that district, you're battle ready, you're battle tough for the playoffs.
Yeah, so I mean, right now I look District 6, 9, and 12 are probably the top 3 districts in DFW.
Yeah, I think District 5, you mentioned Aledo, Azle, Chisholm Trail, Fossil Ridge coming down, Granbury, Saginaw, Brewer. On paper, may not be the toughest district, but man, I'll tell you what, if there's going to be a district that has somebody that kind of surprises people, that may be the district. I mean, Granbury, my hometown now, had a big win over Northwest last year when Northwest was in the top 5. Made a couple rounds in the playoffs, so they get most everybody back. Aledo is always good. Azle is I think on the rebound. We're going to be hearing from them. So if there's a district where you say, hey, where's possibly a dark horse coming from, might be District 5.
And I know with Fossil Ridge and Chisholm coming down, they got athletes, and
yeah,
Janine with Chisholm and Holly with Ridge. They'll have those girls ready.
Yeah, real quick too, District 6, we haven't mentioned the two powerhouses, Argyle and Colleyville Heritage by name. Let's mention them for sure, because man, they just reload. And Suni Davis, Sully Davis is just phenomenal player. Argyle kind of, revamps and comes back. Grapevine in that district, they made a run till they ran into Argyle in the playoffs. So, Birdville, Richland, great volleyball traditions at those schools, Denton, Ryan as well. District 6 is going to be tough. It's going to be fun to watch them play in district as well.
Yeah, District 13 and 14 are the Dallas schools. Oak Cliff Fate Family in District 13 moves up or opts up to 5A. District 14, Dallas ISD schools, along with Mesquite Poteet, North Mesquite, and West Mesquite. And then District 15 rounding out the area. Corsicana, Crandall, Ennis, Kaufman, Midlothian Heritage, Red Oak, and Terrell. Before we jump to 4A, what are your thoughts about 5A around the state?
As far as 5A around the state, down in Region 4, of course, Liberty Hill came out and battled and put the block up literally on Colleyville Heritage in the state semis, and then lost to Lovejoy in the finals. They'll be back this year. Rouse, of course, is Rouse. There was talk about Rouse going up to 6A, but obviously they've got 5A numbers. So it's Liberty Hill, Rouse, Cedar Park. Coach Lori McLaughlin, who got Ridge Point to state for the first time ever a few years ago, is back there. They've revamped and they've reloaded. They're going to be really good this year. Glenn High School in that district is really tough as well. Region 3, kind of the dark horse district in the state in 5A, I think, is District 19. Barbers Hill had a good run. Nederland, Port Neches, Groves. They're going to be back and they're going to be tough. In Region 3, also real quick, this District 23, Georgetown. They've got two girls over 6'3". They're going to be really good. Hendrickson, always one of the most athletic teams in the state, let alone 5A. They're always good. And Pflugerville Weiss, which was 6A, they dropped down to 5A. They've still got the core of their group, including to Kyla Brown, who we have loved her since she was a freshman. That's going to be a tough District 23 6A or 23 5A, and they're going to be really good, I think. And one more real quick, Joshua Burleson out of Region 1 in District 8 5A. I think there might be, there might be a little surprise out of that district as well.
Yeah, normally it's Midlothian and Heritage are kind of leading the way there. They're out of that district, so yeah, I agree with you right there about District 8. And then I think you mentioned in 6A, right, Austin Anderson. So now they dropped 5A.
Yeah, they've moved down to 5A as well. Mm-hmm.
In District 24.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We will jump to 4A here. And the first one, District 6 4A, Brock is jumps up to 4A for the first time. There with Brownwood, Glenrose, Graham, Minerwell, Stephenville. If Brock was in this district now, that would have been fun to watch.
Oh yeah, right.
It still should be fun next year with the likes of battling Glenrose and Stephenville.
Mm-hmm.
District 7, kind of, sort of all over the place too, but Bridgeport, Decatur, and then you kind of come down to Castleberry, Springtown, Lake Worth, and the new school, Eagle Mountain,
right,
which is the same district as Saginaw, Boswell, and Chisholm Trail.
Mm-hmm.
District 8 is the Fort Worth ISD schools. District 9, Aubrey, Salina, Panther Creek District. Lake Dallas again moved down. They're in that district.
Yep, Van Alstyne in that district, been to state recently.
District 10 is Ranchview and some of the charter uplift schools. District 11 is Dallas ISD. 12, Alvarado, Gali, Kennedyville, Venus, Life District. And 13 rounds out DFW, County Mills, Farmersville, Community, Ford, Sunnyvale, and Wills Point. Yeah, I don't know. I look at the districts, and the only one that really, I guess, I care about is District 6 and 7. That's a little different than what we're used to. But again, District 6 is the same, but they just add Brock.
Yeah, and Brock, Nicholas Gay coaches Brock, and he's used to be at Weatherford, moved to Brock a couple of years ago. I think Brock is in really good. They've got a good foundation now. This will be the third year under Coach Gay's program. I think they're going to be, even though, as you said, they've moved up, I think they're going to be quick contestants in that district. Now, of course, Glen Rose was just so good last year, and Stephenville was so good last year. Mineral Walls wasn't too bad either. So that's a tough district right there. I think you're going to get, kind of that get better by playing good teams in your district. That's going to be a really fun chase to watch. And at District 7, Decatur, Crum, back when Argyle was 4A, you had the three of them in the same district. And that was always tough because somebody usually came out of that district and went on to win regional. So Decatur down a little bit, although they did beat Prestonwood last year and, made a little noise for themselves. Did get back to the 500 mark later in the season. So, Burke Burnett is always a contender. You always see them, in there somewhere. I like the Alvarado, Godley, Kennedale district. I think it's top heavy. I think, you're looking at those three as kind of the really good teams out of that district. Godley, what I like about Godley, what they've done is they play a really good first 3 weeks when you have the non-district tournaments. I love what Godley's doing. They're playing all the tough ones. They played Blum a couple times last year. They played Glen Rose a couple times last year. So they're getting to that point where they're playing a really good non-district, which gets them ready for district, and then they make a run in the playoffs. I think they haven't gone as far as they can so far. I think Godley is a team, to keep an eye on. Cannondale, I remember Liberty Hill back in the day when Liberty Hill was going to state the first time around under Gretchen Peterson. They were always playing Cannondale. Liberty Hill got the best of them, but man, they were tough. Gretchen would tell me, God, I hate playing Cannondale because you have to bring your A game with them. And then District 9, Aubrey, Salina, and Lake Dallas is there. Van Alstyne, not too far removed from being at state. So that's going to be a very good competitive district. And Brian, I think part of what everything is to make teams good and get those runs during the playoffs, it's the non-district tournament play in the first 3 weeks of the season in August. I think teams are realizing we've got to play really good competition in non-district the first 3 weeks. That makes us prepared for district because, like we talked about before, you want district to help you prepare for the playoffs. Now you want that tough non-district schedule to help you prepare for district. If you're in a tough one, that makes you even better.
For sure, yeah. District 9 right now kind of looks like probably the top one in DFW. I will say with Brock, they go from an 8-team district to now a 6-team district, so I think that makes it a lot tougher. But we'll see how Coach Gay does next year. District 7, District 8. I mean, District 8 is all the Fort Worth schools.
Right.
I think now it's kind of, Eagle Mountain is a new school, but they're in Fort Worth. Lake Worth is near Fort Worth, and Castleberry is right there in Fort Worth. So, I don't know. I would have maybe thought they would be linked up with Fort Worth ISD, but then it gets kind of too crowded. District 8 is already a 7-team district, so
right.
They're gonna have to travel a little bit here, but that's not too surprising because Lake Worth and Castleberry I've seen with Springtown and Decatur before. So, okay, and so outside of DFW, any thoughts about around the state?
Well, I mean, the state championship, Davenport in Region 4, they're in with Wimberley in District 26. Then Region 4, you got Needville and Floresville. Floresville made a good run to the regional tournament last year. They're going to be back. In Region 3, Salado was the representative last year. they've got Burnett and Georgetown Gateway in the same district. All three made the regional quarterfinals at the very least. Belleville, of course, with Susan down there looking for state championship number 10 for her. They're in with LaGrange in District 22. We talked about Region 2. Region 1 has Canyon and Kenyon Randall in the same district. No surprise. It's normal for them. They're in District 4. So the one big thing out of 4 is the fact that Lorena, who was in the region tournament last year, dropped from 4A to 3A. So they make 3A really, really interesting this year. But Lorena's out of 4A, so that changes the landscape a little bit in Region 3.
And Canyon Rando, who always a state favorite, District 4. But I'm sure that district looks pretty much the same.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so moving on. We're with my good buddy Chuck Licata. We're moving to 3A now. We're getting smaller and smaller here in the area. District 8, that was the Brock district. Instead they take Brock,
Right.
they added Tolar, who moves up from 2A.
Yep.
District 9 is some of Dallas schools, and District 10 is the Boyds, Callisburg, Paradise, Pilot Point, Ponder, Valley View, Whitesboro. And then District 11 is kind of up there: Texoma, Bells, Gunner, Howell, Leonard, Pottsboro, and S&S. So that looks pretty much the same to me.
Right.
I know that District 10 is always a tough district. District 11, obviously with Gunner, it was always a state favorite.
Right.
So no real surprises there. What are you thinking about?
Well, you mentioned Toller. Of course, Toller is 2A. They're good at everything. They're usually at the regional tournament, if not at state, in every sport, boys and girls. So the fact that they're now in 3A, a little bit of shakeup there with District 8. In 3A, you had Peaster made it to the regional tournament last year. Toller's going to be there. It's going to be interesting to see what Toller does in 3A, moving up one. I like District 10. As you said, competition pretty good. Ponder made a run last year in the playoffs. Valley View, not too far removed from state. Callisburg, of course, has been to state before, not too long ago. So I think that's another district that if you see somebody that kind of comes out of the blue in the playoffs, I think that might be it. Gunner, God, you got to be impressed with what Tori Winchell did. Took a team that, lost a senior heavy team and or lost a lot of seniors, winning 3A 2 years ago, and got them back to the state championship match last year. So Tori Winchell, just a phenomenal job. S&S, may make some noise a little bit this year in district as well. But I like Toller. Kind of in the overview, Thrall, which was a 2A power, been to state a couple of times, is now in 3A. They're in District 19 in Region 3. I think they're going to make things interesting as well. And then, of course, I mentioned Lorena in 3A as well. So, that's a good, solid program that they have. They're always at least a couple rounds deep in playoffs. The one interesting I found was District 5. This is Region 1, okay? So Llano, of course, is west of Burnett, okay? That's their location. Ingram Moore is down by Kerrville, okay? Blanco is on the way up 281, as is Comfort, which is, a little bit south of us here in Granbury. They're in Region 1. So I really found 3A overall just interesting as far as where they placed all the teams and what regions they placed them. Of course, again, I wouldn't want to be the UIL and have to do this, take this job on, but really interesting placement in Class 3A, I found.
Yeah, District 8, Peaster is always good. So kind of expect Peaster, Millsap, and Toller to be right up there.
Yep.
I did mention District 10, the Boyd District. I believe S&S was in that district. Now they go to the Gunner District 11.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that.
And then the one that kind of I always forget because they're always in Region 3, but District 18, you got the Grandviews, Keene, Maypearl, Palmer, Rosser, Blooming Grove. So normally, like this past year, Grandview was in District 17 with Clifton, West, and Whitney. So a little different there.
Yeah.
And so we'll wrap it up with 2A and 1A, and I'll let you run the show. What's your anything that jumps out at you with either of those classes?
Yeah, and first of all, by the way, thanks for doing this, because this segment will be on both your podcast and my show coming up Monday at 7 a.m. We'll put that out. I've got Butch Hart and of course you, a couple other guests coming up. So we'll have our kind of a statewide realignment show. So this is kind of cool that we can kill two birds with one stone here. In 1A, of course, Blum is our kind of like our heartfelt favorite. You remember in the state semifinals last year, now two-time defending state champ Plum, they played Natchez, Jolie Jenkins. I love her and love the job she's done since taking over for Morgan Roberson at Natchez. They played in the 1A semifinals. Won't happen this year because UIL has them now in the same region. They're in Region 3. Boy, that's going to be tough, and that's going to be a great regional tournament for sure. Benjamin, who lost to Harold, who was, of course, the underdog, the Cinderella story last year, played Blum for the state championship, took a set off of Blum in the state finals. They're in two different regions. Benjamin moves from Region 2 to Region 1. Bront, of course, was in the state semis last year, so you're going to have those two. And Very Best is again there. In Region 2, it's Harold Zephyr, who made it to the regional tournament, and Yvonne is going to be tough. And in Region 4 is Round Top Carmine, DeHanus. I think those two are that's top heavy region right there. It'll be those two for the regional championship. And real quick, in 2A, Iola and Jewett-Leon, of course, they had the great classic regional final where Jewett-Leon went up 2-0. Iola won set 3-25-4, battled back from 6 match point serves to come back and win the region. Then, of course, they go on to win the state championship. Those two, Normandy and Centerville, are in the same district, District 22. It's amazing there. Crawford, Jeff Coker is in with Valley Mills in District 15, 2A. Still Region 2, Grayford moves up from Class 1A to Class 2A. They're going to make some noise there. Bremont, of course, was good. Windthorst, which owns the most championships by any team at state in volleyball, they're with Nakona in District 8. Wink is there, Archer City there. And then Region 4, Centerpoint, Schulenburg, Johnson City. So pretty much Schulenburg, Johnson City with Three Rivers to consider in Region 4 and 2A. Probably looking at state again next year.
Yeah, in 1A, Blum, District 17. Like you said, Natchez, District 23. 2A, you have a couple of North Texas schools. District 10 is Collinsville, Rayburn, Tioga, Tom Bean, Trenton, Whitewright, and Rio Vista in District 13 and 2A. So,
right.
Before I let you go, any final thoughts?
Outside of a little bit of variation, I like what the UIL is doing, just in the sense that what classification schools are going into realignment. So you're not wondering, hey, is one team moving from 3A to 4A or down, whatever. You know what they are. I think that helps out a lot. I know that helps scheduling obviously out a lot. It's always fun for the media folks to find out what schools are placed in what districts. I know it drives the coaches nuts, the ADs drives them nuts, because okay, are we traveling this year? Do we have a lot more travel, or what's going on? And of course that affects the budgets too. But no, this was fun. This was great. I enjoyed watching. I enjoyed following you, of course, GM Sports Media on Twitter on realignment day on Thursday to see what you posted. Of course, you're the Lone Ranger for DFW volleyball, so that was kind of fun as well. Say hello to Eric Miracle for sure. But outside of a couple the surprises we mentioned, I think everything fell into place, and it was fun again for us to see 6-6A, 5-6A, 4-6A. I'd hate to be the coaches in those districts because man, you got Herculean district schedule, but man, that's just going to bring a lot of attention to DFW area and to those districts. And the 5A, Wakeland Highland Park in the same district with Reedy, and then Lovejoy and Walnut Grove. Walnut Grove had a tremendous, first initial season. It's going to be fun to see what they do in District 9 and 5A.
Yeah, the season will be here very quickly.
Yes, it will. Yep. It's already February, man. Let's go.
The last thing is just what's next for you? I know you been going to a couple of club tournaments. Do you have anything
Right.
in the near future?
Yeah, more club. We have a couple good tournaments. Houston in a couple weeks. The Houston Lone Star tournament will be down there. So that'll be fun. And then as we get through the season, and of course we got baseball coming up. I'm actually doing Concordia University out of Austin, do their play-by-play. Very, very, very great family. I love doing there. We'll probably get more into softball a little bit as far as the high school level goes. And of course, we'll stick with volleyball. Getting to know the girls playing in club is just so much fun. It's kind of wrong that you have Kinsley Young and Aubrey Fernandez and Vari Pinter and Kylie Brooks on the same team, in the 16s. It's like, oh my God, what a team that is. And it's just fun to see the girls not have that high school tie, but you got that club now. And what I love about it is they treat their teammates in club exactly the way they do in high school. It's just a lot of love, a lot of family, and they back each other and they support each other a lot. So, and of course, you know me, I love volleyball. This is what I'd like to be doing. So just give
Awesome.
me more volleyball, man. You can't give me enough.
Awesome. Well, enjoy it all. Be safe, safe travels on your next adventure. And always love talking volleyball with you, brother.
Absolutely. Same to you. By the way, you're running a special, I believe, on GM Sports Media. You got to throw that in.
Yeah, we are. Right now it's $5 a month. Normally it's 10 a month. So make sure you get an advantage on that.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely. And
All right.
tell your partner I said hello too, will you?
I'll tell Maddie I said hi. All right, that's Mr. Volleyball, Chuck Licata with Big Daddy Media. Always good to have him. And this is another episode of Game Time with the Goss.